Hey, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to put a JDM motor in this 2019 WRX, so come along. So I picked up this car recently. Got a good deal on it. I'm pretty sure I can make some good money on it. The FA20s are pretty expensive, and I've kind of been getting conflicting information about what to do on the JDM swaps. So this is kind of going to be a little bit of an experiment for me too, because I've never done a JDM swap on one of these. This engine, jump timing, it's locked up. Everything's useless on it. But we have a nice low mileage used JDM engine. One thing I know for sure is the US engines have a oil level sensor. I don't plan on hooking that up. What you have to do that is you have to take the lower oil pan off, the upper oil pan off, swap it with the other one. I'm just gonna ground it to turn it off. Sure, that's maybe not the official correct way to do it, but honestly, just check your oil. What if that sensor goes bad anyway? Same kind of situation, like manually check your oil is pretty much what it comes down to. The conflicting information I've heard is the sprockets, the timing gears on them. I found a couple things that say you have to, a couple things that say you don't have to. I'm pretty sure we have to, so what we're gonna end up doing is taking the cover off, swapping the plates over. We're gonna swap the sensors too, just so they're the right ones. And then we're also gonna change out the crank sensor and the crank trigger, just to be safe. Other than that, I don't think there's really anything that we need to do besides like the normal stuff. And when I say normal stuff is we need to run the US intake, we need to run the air pump, we need to run the US wiring. Other than that, it should all be more or less the same. So I'm gonna work on the car probably later today, but before I do that, I wanna get this one kind of start prepped. I wanna get the intake manifold off. I wanna get the belt off some of the accessories and everything like that. That way it's as ready as it can be. The only thing I'm not gonna take off right now is the timing cover. Just, you know, I'm working today. I don't want debris and stuff getting in there. So get you guys all set up here and we'll start tearing this one down. Now I just did a customer car fairly recently, putting a US engine in his car. I was pretty impressed with how getting the engine out and everything. It went pretty good. We're gonna start with is getting the intake off. We're gonna get the intake pipe off. We'll get the belt off. Yeah, it's kind of funny how this deal came up. I was doing an oil change, I think, on my buddy's car, and one of his coworkers knows that I work on Subarus a lot, and I like to buy them and resell them to make money and stuff like that. And while I was working on my buddy's car, he had texted him, was like, "Hey, my engine's locked up." I pulled a spark plug out and sent a picture, and it was all damaged. And I was like, "Would your buddy be interested in buying it?" So so he turns to me and he's like, "Hey, you want to buy one of these?" I'm like, "Well, you know, if the price is right." And we were able to come to a pretty good deal. If you guys are interested, I'll go through a whole flip car process and a video if you guys want once it sells. Here, or not vacuum, but the evap lines, hoses, I guess technically not lines. Now it should be ready to come off. You know, don't listen to me. Yay! Now we can get the harness off. Honestly, the worst part about doing all this is the sound deadening stuff, because it's always in the way. But done. There we go. All that's really left is to pull those and pull the cover when we get the car in here later today. I'll kind of walk you guys through that and go from there. Yeah, so we got the car in. I got the battery disconnected and stuff, but how I like to do Subarus is I like to go lift the car up, do everything that we need to undo on the bottom, you know, the exhaust, the radiator stuff, the mounts, couple bell housing bolts, the starter lower bolt. That way we pretty much never have to do anything from underneath the car, and then we can do it all up here and pull the engine out. So yeah, let's put it up in the air and get that stuff all taken off. So we're gonna start off down here, getting the J-pipe, downpipe bolts off. Anytime I'm dealing with slightly rusty exhaust stuff, I always hit them with the torch first, because otherwise you run the risk of breaking them. Mind you, we're probably not gonna reuse, well, I know we're not gonna reuse this turbo or anything, so if they did break, it's not the end of the world. But I'm gonna start with the hardest to get one first. You probably won't be able to see too terribly well back there. I'm gonna hit it with the torch, get on it, and hopefully get that one off. That one's kind of a pain in the butt to get to because everything's in the way. So I'm not gonna be able to get that one super hot, but let's see if we can get this one broke loose. Yeah, there we go. Oh, come on. This piece is holding us up. So the bracket is holding us up right now. There we go, I think I got it past it. Well, I wasn't filming when it happened, I was planning to. What had happened is the downpipe got stuck up on the bracket that was up there and it got wedged. So ultimately what I decided to do was take one of the studs out. The other stud I tried to take out, but it broke. So I was like, okay, what I'll do is I'll just cut it. And as I was cutting it, the thing dang near fell out. I did just notice this turbo inlet thing is slightly different than the JDM one, so we'll have to swap that over too. So down here, I just get the nuts, and the ones above the axles are the only ones I really worry too terribly much about. Well, and like I said, the bottom starter one, just because we're here. Everything on the underside, all done. So let's lower it down and do the stuff up top, and it should be out relatively soon. All right, now that we're back up top, shouldn't be too terribly much. I've already got the battery disconnected, but cover, inlet, ECU, wiring connector, fuel line, vacuum line, intercooler, starter, bell housing bolts, heater lines. Really shouldn't be too bad. There we go. So now when we actually get this out, obviously there's gonna be more that we need to take off of it. But let me get that up in the air, get it all set up, and we'll pull this engine out. That side's coming. All right, that might be enough where I can just get a pry bar in there real quick. Let's see. I think the angle of the dangle is just fighting us here. Yep, there we go. That was all it was. Ta-da! Cool, well, let's lift the car up and get swapping some parts over. All Alright, so we got the engine out and everything. We got to kind of get it into a similar state. I don't think I'm going to film any of that because you guys watched me do all this, so why watch me do it again? I'll just go through it. Taking the intake manifold off, taking the turbo inlet off. Coil's got to come out, clutch and flywheel have got to come off, wiring harness has to come off this, some miscellaneous hoses that got cut. And then once that's all ready, we have to pull the timing cover off this one and swap the timing gears. Well, we're not going to swap the gears, we're hopefully just going to swap the plates. Well, it took a little bit and I got the timing cover off, but I saw some goodies down here. Let's see if I can get them. Oop, dropped one. Some debris down in there. There's a piece right there. Yeah, she broke. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the C-clip off right here and these, and we'll get that off and swapped over. Well, I got the timing covers off of both. Don't mind my mess. Apparently they shipped this full of oil, but we can actually look at the differences between the US and JDM gears. So these are the USDM ones. You can see the little nubs stick out. And here's that same gear on the JDM engine. If you look, the nubs stick in. So that's why you gotta switch these over, because the computer won't know what to do with that kind of information. So what you have to do is there's this little snap ring that's on here. I've already got it off. And then you take these off. I didn't have any issues with the cam gear coming off, but we'll switch all those over. Get all the RTV cleaned up and get the cover back on. Well, I forgot to film, but we got the timing cover on with all the gears swapped over and everything. So the only couple things we gotta switch yet is we gotta switch this over from the other engine, and we gotta switch the rear timing and the clutch. And then we'll put it all together and put it in the car. Realistically, it shouldn't take too terribly much longer. Honestly, switching everything over has been longer than taking the engine out and putting it in. So we'll get this all done, and then we'll film a couple things and hopefully have a first start here real soon. So one of the things I probably should have told you guys is a couple things on the timing cover that I'll just go over real quick on the old engine. So when you do this, you need 4 different O-rings, well, 3 of the same O-rings and 1 different. You're gonna go up here, I think right here, and then 1 for the oil pump. So make sure you replace those when you do this. And these guys are torqued to 18 Newton meters or 3.3 foot-pounds. So when you go to do that, that's what you gotta do when you do the timing cover. The engine's all ready to go back in. We'll stab it in place here real quick and hopefully have this car up and running in no time. We got Butch here helping me. You ready, King Wasabi?
There we go.
There's a bell housing bolt right there on your side. Do the lower one if you can. Yep. Cool, so what we have to do left now is bell housing bolts, starter, heater hoses, intercooler, ECU, exhaust, radiator. And it should be ready to start. You guys saw me take all that out, so I'm not gonna bore you guys putting it back in. So I'm just gonna do this real quick and we'll do a first start. I'm pretty sure everything's all good to go. We got oil in it, we got coolant in it. I don't see anything leaking now that I put the lower radiator hose on. We got the fuel pump fuse out and the fuel injector fuse. I'm gonna wing it over for a little bit, hopefully build some oil pressure, get the timing chains hydraulic up. We'll put those in and hopefully it fires up right away and we have a running car then. All right, you ready? All right, you wanna hook that up. Ready? All right, let's try it again. I got a new battery in there. Hopefully she fires right up. What do you think, Butch? It's alive! And no check engine light so far. One of the things I forgot to show you guys too, the JDM engines, like I said, don't have oil level sensors. So if you look, I just grounded it out right there, and it basically says that it's full of oil. So, well, we'll let this warm up for a little bit and take it for a test drive, and we can call this one done. Drives down the road good so far. You know, a couple years ago, I got done doing the engine build of my buddy Tony's white STI. The build's on the channel. You can go back and look at it. 2015. I had to drive it around and do like all the braking and stuff like that. And I kind of really started to like the VA chassis because of that. And every time I get in one, I'm like, you know what? I think I need to get one of these in my life. So sooner or later, a VA chassis STI is probably on my list of cars I should buy. All right, that's 5 miles out. Let's turn around here real quick and head back. Well, hot diggity dog. 10 miles, no check engine lights. Yeah, look at that, no check engine lights. So yeah, it seems the swap works out pretty good. Couple things that we have to go over. Swap the AVCS sprocket plates. Swap the sensors. I don't think you have to swap the sensors, but I did with the US. You have to run the US intake manifold, the US wiring, the US inlet for the turbo, because it's got the PVC connectors. You have to swap that one line over. I swapped the crank sensor and the crank sprocket. I don't think you had to. The sprocket was stamped B, but we're there. Gotta do it anyway. But overall, relatively easy swap in this car. So if you guys have a blown up engine and don't want to buy a US engine because they're very expensive with a lot of miles, look at the JDM ones. If you guys are looking forward to more Subaru content, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time.